What's up, gamers? Welcome back to another epic YouTube video from your boy Bob Cookie. Today we are not going to be playing Minecraft. No. Today we're going to be talking about Frederick McKinley Jones.
Hello, Aiden. Welcome to the Cookie Podcast. How is your day been so far?
It's pretty good.
Mind telling the audience a little bit about yourself before we begin?
Hi, I'm Aiden. I consider myself somewhat of an expert about Frederick McKinley Jones, and I'm here to talk about him today.
Who doesn't know about Frederick McKinley Jones, the man, the myth, the legend?
Everyone's heard of him. He's the man that created the portable refrigerator.
Yes, the invention.
Saved millions of lives.
It's crazy. Now, before we get into how his inventions impacted society, let's talk about his early childhood and what barriers he had to overcome to become the legend he is today.
Sure. He was born in 1893 on May 17th, and he was born near Cincinnati, Ohio. But when he was growing up, his mother died when he was 9, which forced him to drop out of school and work to provide for his family. A priest eventually started raising him until he was 16, and then after that he went to go work as a mechanic in a garage in Cincinnati. But the reason he was able to learn these skills was because at that church that the priest was raising him at, he would look at the cars and just learn everything about all the cars that were parked outside.
So since he dropped out of school, how did he self-educate himself to be able to learn all the things he could to be able to make such crazy inventions?
He did a couple things to self-educate himself. For one, he went to the library and read a ton of books, but that was kind of hard to do because since there was a lot of segregation and stuff like that back in the early 1900s, it was harder for him to get access to good books and things like that.
For the viewers that don't understand, Frederick McKinley Jones was, at this time, was a young black male where there was lots of segregation. So it was really difficult for him to do lots of basic things. And it was even more difficult seeing that he was orphaned by a priest and wasn't that wealthy. So he couldn't just go out to a private school and learn whatever he wanted, right?
Yeah, and that same library is where he learned everything he knew about refrigeration.
That's pretty cool. When did you first come up with the idea of making a portable refrigerator?
Well, it was during World War I when he saw that a lot of soldiers were having trouble getting the blood transfusions, the vaccines, the food, and stuff like that they needed to survive, because there was a lot of people dying due to diseases or wounds and stuff like that and losing too much blood. Or honestly, just even starvation.
So you're saying that instead of creating this incredible invention for his own personal gain, he basically made it to help people survive in the wars?
Yeah, it is.
That's
that
pretty
is why.
cool.
Yeah, it actually ended up saving millions of lives throughout the battlefield because this portable refrigerator that he made made it possible for everyone to get the things that they needed.
Now,
and adding on to that, during World War I, he actually was pretty good mechanic and fixed a lot of vehicles, like the trucks and things like that they were using to get around.
So he was like the MVP of World War I, right?
Yeah. He ended up getting a pretty high rank in the military too.
Do you know a broad estimate of how many lives he saved because of this refrigerated technology? Just a guess, maybe.
Oh, it was definitely millions.
Probably.
Because even after World War I ended, he was still saving lives without even doing anything because his technology that he created helped save lives into the future.
Now, obviously, saving lives is pretty good, but how is this refrigerated technology also used in everyday life?
Well, it's actually used in a lot of ways. Have you ever seen the trucks on the road that say Thermo King on the back?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's
the big semi-trucks.
Yeah. Those are that's actually his company that he created with Joseph A. Numero, because he didn't actually have the money or funding or anything to create his company. So Joseph Numero had to fund him, and he would be able to create all these refrigerators and things like that for his company.
Now, we keep talking about one of his greatest inventions, the portable refrigerator, but were there any other inventions or contributions to society that he did?
Yeah, he made a automatic ticket dispenser, so when you would put in money, then it would dispense a ticket to a movie theater, which is also his first patent, which paved a long road of creating a lot of things for people.
Yes. But even though he was discriminated against, were there any people that like recognized his success? And were there any awards he won? Or how did people recognize his success while he was on Earth?
Well, obviously, Joseph A. Numero found out that he was super smart and super good with refrigeration technology.
Yeah.
But the American Society of Refrigeration Engineers actually accepted him into it as the first African American member in 1994.
Wow. Were there any awards he won while he was here?
Yeah, he actually won the National Medal of Technology, which, even though it was after he died, he got it in 1991. Oh, and also, he got inducted into the Minnesota's Inventors Hall of Fame in 1977, which is a huge accomplishment that very few people have.
Wow. Now, obviously, we've talked about like all these barriers he had to overcome to become this successful. How do you think that inspired the future generations that came after him?
Well, I think that the future generations, seeing that he came from so little and was able to get up so high, is really inspirational, showing that anything is possible if you set your mind to it and if you have enough motivation. Because he came from being extremely poor after his mother died, with very little education, to being the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company.
Yes. So, if you had to summarize it up, what 3 personal qualities do you think summarizes Frederick?
Well, I think that he had a lot of grit. I think
Yeah.
that he had a lot of persistence, and I think that he really had a compassion for helping people, like with the World War I making the refrigeration technology and
Yes,
stuff.
for real. All right, Aiden, do you have any last thoughts before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I just think it's really interesting how he came from so little and got so much. And I think that should be really a big inspiration for people of our generation nowadays, especially African Americans, because he grew up in a time where there was a lot of discrimination and was able to do so well in life.